That's right, y'all. We back on the scene to pull the lesson out. This is Gaming Looks Good, episode number 30, and we are talking about Ubisoft's For Honor. Now, this is the show where we take a game and we look at it from the lens of race, gender, and sexuality. That's the spectrum that we use to cover that one game. My name is Shareef Jackson, the co-host of the Spawn on Me podcast, the owner of Math Looks Good as well, the tutoring service. And I'm here, y'all. This is my YouTube series. And look, let's just jump right into it, y'all, because this is a very, very interesting game that might be a little more nuanced and have some more stuff in the background than you might have seen in the marketing, the advertisements, and some of the highlights that you may have seen. So let's start with the character creator here. So let's get this going. Okay, so you can change your gender, and you get these different options for the skin color. Now, it's not crazy, right? You don't get a whole bunch of tones like the whole color wheel that you see in deeper RPGs, but you know, this is a game in a fantasy setting, and a lot of games in fantasy settings, you know, they are very picky about how you can choose, you know, the color of your skin. So to have different hues of blackness, definitely a step in the right direction. They could do more. And one thing that this does do is it does say, hey, we're thinking about y'all. That's the positive. The negative is when you look at all the characters that you see in the commercials, on the promotion, and even in the single player campaign, as we'll see, they're all white. You know what I'm saying? So they already have the option for the color wheel here. Why not just, you know, divvy that up amongst the NPCs and the bosses and people on the cover art, people in the commercials. So they built it in if you're the kind of person to go in and like look for it, and that's cool. But I kind of wish it was integrated in more of the game. Now, let's take a look at one of the main villains, Apollyon, who's a very, very powerful female character, but also deep. So let's check a little bit of her out. Oh, actually, before we do that, one thing about the character creator in a fantasy game is because you're so armored up, you can't even really see the difference. As you saw there, I went through all of the colors here, and it's just a small part under his, you know what I'm saying, under his helmet that you can see changing. So because you don't get a lot of those off helmet times, and because all the characters don't have, you know, skin exposed and that kind of stuff, you know, hard to kind of see. So all right, now let's go into the main villain, Apollyon.
Do you know how to tell a predator from prey? You can't, of course. Unless you see them in war. Okay,
so that small scene, I chose that scene specifically because she's basically sunning like this other dude, like she's kind of intimidating him. Not the person that's a prisoner now, but the person that she was talking to, which is kind of like her second in like command. He has this huge axe, right? So he's kind of like the executioner. And she's, you know, given this kind of deep philosophical part, which kind of adds to her character. She's a very powerful warrior, but at the same time, you know, she gives very tight monologues as well. And I think that she's a great example of a lot of games, you know, they might put, you know, a pretty dope female character in there, but that's it. You know what I'm saying? They don't integrate women into the rest of the game, so they kind of have this like one kind of outlier person, and they do like the same thing with like if there's a gay character or a trans character, you know, or like a character of a color or any of the intersections of any of those, they'll have one, you know what I'm saying, and they'll represent that whole deal. So once I saw this scene, which is pretty early, I was hoping that there would be more women in the game. So let's go to one of the one of the classes that defaults to female, the Peacekeeper. And I was a little worried about this class when I first heard about her, because they described her as nimble and agile, which is cool, but I kind of felt like, all right, that means that like she's going to be super weak, you know, and just dives in and does like really quick things and then moves out and like that kind of thing. But as you can see, she gets pretty gangster. So let's check out the Peacekeeper.
When wars end, it is the silent blade that keeps the peace. But when wars rage, a peacekeeper's work is never done. Quick, simple. They can win a fight before their enemy even knows they are there. Dancers of death, with dual blades for dancing partners. What they know can destroy legends.
Yeah, so I really like how they definitely made her nimble, agile, but also super deadly, getting in close and like fighting. I mean, like she's not kind of playing the background, and she's not just a simple scout. So I like how they designed a character class that defaults to a female that is super powerful. Really, really like that. Now, on the other side, let's go to the Viking class, and let's see how they, how they show that.
So what use of they or a beer?
There we go. So we got the big brooding Viking who's, screaming, kneeing people in the face. Of course, it defaults to like a big burly dude, right? But what I found is that if you look, just like in the character creator at the beginning, you can choose your gender for any of these characters. Now I wish that meant that they would default some to female and like a some to male, kind of vary it up, what I'm saying? But really it's only the classes that only come in that default to female, such as the Peacekeeper that I showed earlier, that really do that. So I made a female version of this Viking called the Raider, and let's check her out.
It was a great raid!
Valhalla, warrior.
So awesome. So like she's like still big and burly, and she's still like commanding all these other Vikings, who by the way are all white, right? Like everyone you've seen in this game so far has been white. And I also have another member of my party that's also a woman. So I like how they kind of took this stereotypical male Viking kind of stereotype, and they made it so that you can mess with that a bit. Now, again, this is a video game, so I wish that like they would have got some more color in here. I don't want to hear anybody saying that, oh man, like there weren't any black Vikings, because hey, this is a video game, and they somehow created a universe where samurai, Vikings, and knights are all fighting each other, right? So it's clearly not historically accurate, So I made this awesome character, and the next character is called Civ the Ruthless, and she is actually a enemy that is only I think she's only comes in the female variant, I think, and she's very cool, and she kind of matches this like Raider character in strength, right? So even if I picked a male version of this Raider, I would still have to fight Civ as as like a woman. So let's check out Civ. Look at all those white clones. They all look exactly the same. You guys have no idea how much I yelled Raider after I played this match. But this is pretty dope because like you have two powerful, female Vikings basically fighting each other, right? And they both lead their respective sides, and they're both, they like sort of fit that very strong, brutish type, which you don't see attributed to a lot of women in games. So pretty dope, pretty dope. Now let's check out. I mentioned that there's samurai in the game. So I kind of wondered, hey, would the game even mention any kind of racial aspects, like the fact that like these characters are like are like have an Asian influence. I was hoping that there wouldn't be any straight up kind of bigotry in the game. The only time it's really brought up is in this one wannabe comedic scene. So let's check out this scene.
So? What did they tell you?
I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, so it was really weird. I killed this like samurai, and then she's like, I don't speak Japanese. So, obviously when you're playing as a samurai, it's in English, right? But they kind of have, they're trying to play with race a little bit, but it doesn't quite work. Kind of wish that they dived into it a bit. But I understand that they probably didn't want to open up that can of worms. But the thing is, like, it's there. If you're putting samurai in your game and they're all going to be Asian characters, then then you kind of could have touched on it, or else don't include like the samurai at all. So now let's jump to Apollyon, who, as I said before, is that really deep philosophical female warrior from the beginning. And let's see just a montage of her being absolutely badass.
Reinforcements! Do not lose this courtyard.
The samurai have breached the second gate.
Here they come!
At last. Move!
I love that part. Like, she sees a cannonball coming, and she's the only one that braces herself the proper way so that she doesn't fall. It's like a small detail, but also just shows how much of a skilled warrior that she is. Again, she's just slaughtering people.
Finally, the Dawn Empire have arrived.
Yield. Face justice.
I'll pass.
Yeah, so that's when I'm playing as the samurai character, who again I made into a female. So again, you have this other battle of these two very powerful women, which is not something that would be advertised, not something that I think probably anyone would know unless you actually play this game and like play around with the genders. So like now you have like a Asian woman character versus Apollyon, who like you never really see her under the armor, so you don't know, what she is. Like she could be, who knows what kind of background, but it's still cool that you get that battle. So let's check out a little bit of that battle.
Death waits for us all. A warrior is someone who does not let that stop them from doing what must be done. Come, warrior.
So the cool thing about that is that they obviously had that respect for each other that like two good warriors have when they're fighting, whether it's a movie, a video game, or a book. So I feel like this captures a lot of the different battles that you don't see women be able to take part in a lot. So I really enjoyed that. And then finally, you're able to see your samurai's face. Just to prove to you that that these are Asian characters. Yeah, I do wish that they did touch on that. But yeah, exactly. But one thing I did find is that even though you could change the gender in the single player, you cannot change the race. Now, at the beginning, I changed the race, but that was for a multiplayer character when I was looking at the creator now. So after I beat the single player, after Apollyon got laid to waste, I went into the multiplayer. First thing I did was make a black Viking, because I was like, yo, I haven't seen any through the whole game. So check out my Viking. Check out. Now, once again, she has a lot of armor, so you can kind of only see like her arms and like a bit of pieces near the chest plate. But you know, once again, they have it built into the game. You know, why not mix that up, put that into some of the NPCs? But whatever. I thought it was dope, and I liked running around with my Black Viking in a wrecking shop. So, yeah. I mean, again, this is a game where they really could have, you know, kind of trumpeted this as this more diverse experience, but I feel like they kind of advertise it as sort of just the same old, like, here's a bunch of dudes kind of beating each other in the face, and like there are deeper options than that. Even though they have a little bit of a miss on the racial aspect, I think they do a really good exploration of gender, and sort of like battle and war and philosophy and like all that stuff in this game. So I always like to include one funny part at the end. So let's check out here. I'm trying to get down. I'm like, okay, I can roll. And I jump down and kill myself very heroically. So that's it, y'all. So you can go to gaminglooksgood.com to find all these videos, at gaminglooksgood on a Twitter, or at Shareef Jackson, which is my Twitter name as well. And also, if you want to check out the podcast Spawn on Me, you can go to spawnon.me, or subscribe to it on iTunes, Google Play, NPR One, all that good stuff. I'm out. See y'all in the next video. Peace.